Welcome to the Critical Thinking Strategy for Unit 6. The strategy for this unit is identifying false inferences. Sometimes it's easy to make a false inference. In other words, come to a false conclusion when you don't have enough information. For example, if someone came in second in a race, you might think the person is a good runner. However, if there were only two people in the race, that might not be true. There isn't enough information to make this inference. Here's how the dictionary defines inference. An inference can be either false or valid. A false inference can lead to a false conclusion or a bad decision. Take a look at this statement, followed by the inference and conclusion. The statement says that a vacation is one way to reduce stress. It doesn't say it is always the best way or the only way. So the inference is false because it goes too far. This is a very common kind of bad argument. There is also a problem with the conclusion. Something that is true in a general way for most people is not necessarily true for everyone. For some people, for example, travel or other common vacation activities are stressful. Now, let's look at a valid inference. Remember that a valid inference is probably true based on the information given. Note that this speaker says, maybe a vacation will help me reduce stress. The inference is probably true, but it's not 100% certain. And finally, here is one more example. Look at this sentence and the inference. What's the problem? This isn't an inference at all. The sentence simply repeats the same idea in different words. Now, let's practice. Read this information based on Listening 1 in Unit 6. Then, we'll look at some inferences and decide whether they're false or valid. Here's the first inference. Students should stop using books and study only with video games. Is it false or valid? Did you say false? That's correct. This sentence goes too far. The students in the study use video games and books. They were using them together. Also, the games helped 70% of the students, not all of them. How about this one? Video games can be a useful learning tool for university students in some subjects. Is it false or valid? Yes, this is a valid inference. A significant number of students think the games are helpful. The information supports the inference. We say some subjects because there are only two subjects mentioned, so we can't say more without more information. Here's another example. Read this information about the satin bowerbird from Unit 2. Based on this information, is the following inference false or valid? The satin bowerbird can see and recognize different colors. Yes, it is valid. The fact that the bowerbird uses only blue objects and removes red ones is strong evidence that he sees the colors. How about this inference? Based on the information given, is this false or valid? This is a false inference because the sentences only give information about the satin bowerbird, not about all birds. Now, here's a funny thing about inferences. A false inference can be true. The key is that in the first case, there was not enough information to prove that all birds could see colors. Here is an inference that is definitely valid based on the information in this presentation. Telling the difference between false and valid inferences requires careful and critical thinking. Thanks for listening.